Welcome back to Inspiring Hope, the podcast of Catholic Charities of Omaha. I'm your host, Dave Vancat, Chief Community Engagement Officer for Catholic Charities. November is National Adoption Month. Many of you may not know that 100 years ago, Catholic Charities of Omaha got its start by facilitating the operations of the St. James Orphanage along with the Sisters of Mercy. Thousands of children were adopted through the orphanage and the work of Catholic Charities. Although the adoptions ended in 2018, we still maintain all of the adoption records back into the 1870s. In today's episode, you'll hear from the person who maintains all of those records, as well as someone who has experienced adoption from many different angles. Joining me today are Mary Pruss, who was adopted from the orphanage, and Wendy Spetman, post-adoption specialist for Catholic Charities of Omaha. Thank you both so much for being here today. We're very grateful to have you join us on Inspiring Hope, our podcast. Wendy, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Talk
a little bit about the St. James Orphanage and the records we have, and give people kind of an idea of what that was like.
Sure. The Sisters of Mercy started St. James Orphanage in 1873. So we have records dating back to 1873 up into when we stopped doing adoptions, which I think was around 2019. Mm-hmm. So a long, long time.
Yeah.
In 1926, Catholic Charities took over casework. So they took over the counseling and the facilitating more of the adoption practice. And that continued until 2019. And then beyond that is the post-adoption. And that is what we still currently do to this day.
And so all of those records, you know how to navigate those. How does someone who's interested get in touch with you to learn about adoptions, and who can learn about adoptions?
Sure. Anybody who has been in the adoption triad, which is the adopted person. It can be the birth parents. It can be descendants of the adoptive person or the birth parents. Those are pretty much the people that can get in touch with us. They can contact us through our website. I have a direct line. They can get a hold of me through phone as well. I would say a lot of times families, there's multiple adoptions in families. So, mm-hmm. They just kind of get a hold of us because somebody else has told them, I worked with this person.
Yeah. So Mary, you have a lot of different aspects of adoption that you are familiar with. And
I am.
So you tell us about your adoption. You were adopted.
Okay. Yes, I was adopted back in 46, and I was actually in the orphanage in August of 46 is when I was adopted. And then I guess the next thing I knew, I met my husband, who was 16. We were 16 at the time. And I saw him in school, and I knew he was adopted, and I asked him about it. And he said, I was adopted from St. James Orphanage. And I said, so was I. And he said, when were you adopted? And I said, August of 46. And he says, I was adopted out in October of 46. So we knew we were in the orphanage at the same time.
Wow.
So then I said, well, when's your birthday? And he said, December 24th. And I go, mine's December 30th.
Wow.
So we were close. And we went on to get married. After that, we just dated and we got married. And then we were married for 4 years and decided that we'd like to adopt. So we went back to the orphanage, where I called back to the orphanage, and the same caseworker was there that adopted us out to our family.
Wow. So all those years later,
she was still there.
Person.
And it was the same person. And she had us come in and talk to us, and we told her that we were interested in adopting a child, and we got our daughter like in 2 months.
And where did you live at that time?
We lived in Omaha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you, when your adoptive parents, like, did they live in Omaha? Where did you live?
They had lived in Omaha, but they were then they were still living. My parents that adopted me were still living in Omaha.
Okay.
At the time, yes, they
So
were
you
there.
grew up in Omaha.
I grew up in Omaha until I was in 8th grade,
Okay.
and then we moved to O'Neill.
And your husband?
He lived in O'Neill.
He was in O'Neill.
And that's where I met him.
So you both started at the orphanage. You
Yes.
went to Omaha.
And
he
he
went
went-
to O'Neill.
Correct.
And then
Then
lo
I
and
moved to
behold-
O'Neill
Yeah.
and went to school there, and that's where I met him.
Wow.
If I
Seems
wouldn't-
like it was meant to be, Mary.
I think so. I guess so.
Or you were that close in the orphanage.
I
You
know.
were just going to have to be
I mean,
that
we
close
just
the
couldn't
rest of your
believe
lives.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
We were just so shocked that, I mean, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
know.
It is a pretty amazing story. You know, granted, Omaha is relatively small, but
Yeah.
two people from the same orphanage at the same month and the same year,
Yeah.
and now
And then we got
you
it.
meet up in O'Neill, which, for those who don't know, is about 3 hours
From here.
northwest of Omaha.
It is.
It's not next door.
No.
Do you hear lots of stories like this,
We
Wendy?
do. We do. It's fun to hear people, and I mean, sometimes, you know, birth parents and adoptees have worked together and they didn't even know it, or families knew of each other, birth and adoptive families knew of each other, but they didn't know the circumstances.
Right.
So Omaha's a big, small town.
Well,
It sure is. I believe that.
and so what was your experience like from, you know, being adopted to now you were adopting the daughter?
Oh, it was wonderful. The caseworker came to our house and, of course, visited with us, and it didn't seem like it was a hard process at all.
Yeah.
They made us feel really comfortable, and I've always felt like we got our daughter maybe more quickly because they knew our backgrounds, because they knew our birth parents and they knew of our adopted parents and adopted us out. So we did get our daughter pretty fast because we started in February and we got her May 1st.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty fast.
Right. And so do you think that made the process easier, knowing that you were adopted, to then talk with your daughter through?
I do.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. How did that work with that relationship?
Well, you mean with my daughter? Or?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I mean, right away, I mean, I always knew that I was adopted because that's one of the things that they tell you, that you have to tell your children that they're adopted.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I've shared that with her from the very beginning, that she was adopted and that she was chosen, the whole thing, you know, that we all know. And like I told you before, that 2 years, 4 months later, I had a biological daughter. And she would tell me when she was little that she felt like she was the outsider because she wasn't adopted, because everybody in our family was adopted, because my husband was adopted, his siblings were adopted, I had cousins that were adopted, everybody was adopted, you know.
So she had to work through her own issues of
Exactly.
not being adopted.
And not being adopted. So it was easy.
Yeah.
You know, it was not ever hard, and she never had trouble. I mean, I've never had a problem with being an adopted child, and neither did she.
Yeah. You always felt that love
I always
from your
felt
family.
the love.
And
Yes.
that was all the connection that was needed. So, Wendy, talk a little bit about the difference between long ago and when open adoptions came about, because some people think of open adoption and think that that was always the case, but that wasn't the case.
No, that wasn't the case. When Mary was adopted, it would have been a closed adoption, and closed adoptions continued till about I want to say into the 70s. And then studies were done, and they looked at children and the psychology of it, and thought semi-open would be a good place to start. So semi-open was when a birth parent and an adoptive couple might meet and then exchange letters through the agency. No identifying information, just letters through the agency. So we actually, up until probably 20 2018, 2019, we were still facilitating some semi-opens. Eventually they went to open, where they were communicating directly, but sometimes families would still send letters for the caseworker to pass along. And then in the 90s, they decided more open adoption was going to be a benefit to the child. And that's where adoptive parents and birth parents would meet, and then they would share identifying information, and they would, get together on a pretty regular basis. So the child growing up would know who their birth family was.
Well, and so you've been involved with reuniting lots of people through the years. How long have you worked for Catholic Charities?
I've been back since 2022.
And you worked before that,
Before that, it was about 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were involved with that process at that point as well, the
Yes.
adoption process and the records and reuniting families. And so then, Mary, at some point, you decided you wanted to learn more about your birth parents.
Yes,
right?
I did. I wanted to know. I just wanted to know for medical reasons because I had the biological daughter, and I thought I need to know for her and my grandkids, some background. And so I called back and got a hold of Wendy and told her what I was interested in doing. And she gave me a call back one day and told me that I had 5 sisters and a brother.
Wow.
If I was interested in contacting them. And I was shocked because I was just kind of looking for information about my mother. I didn't know I was going to, have
Instant family.
right.
Big family.
And I'm thinking, I never had a sister. Yes, I want to know, but I called her back and said, yes, I want to meet. I would like to meet them if they'd like to meet me. And so she sent them a letter, and it's history. We met in January of 2013, and we've been together ever since.
And were they all from close by?
No. I have one sister that lives in Central City. 2 sisters live in Norfolk. One sister lives in Columbus, and one sister lives in Aberdeen. And I had a brother that lived in Yankton, South Dakota, that he passed away in June. But I've met all of them, have been with all of them. I've been with the brother. It's just been wonderful because they didn't know about me. They'd had no idea that I even existed.
Right.
So it was a shock to them.
Yeah.
But they never, ever said that they didn't want to meet me. We met right away and got together, started doing things together. And I also have two uncles and an aunt that are still living. And I've been with them and met them and done things with them too.
Wow.
So it's been just like another family. I said my other family.
Yeah.
My second family.
And all of this facilitated after one call to Wendy to see what your family history was. And
Exactly.
so then you've got all these connections and all of these people as part of your life now.
Yes.
They were very accepting of you right away.
Right away. When we met, they wanted to meet right away. And so we met in, like I said, in January of that next year. And Wendy had told me, you come a little bit sooner. I don't want them to meet you in the parking lot. So I came early.
And you met at?
And we met inside St. James Orphanage.
In the orphanage itself. Yeah.
She took me around. I don't know if you remember this. She took me around to the rooms. I wanted to see the rooms where I would have been in one of the baby cribs.
Right.
And I kind of looked around in there. And then we went into a room. And when they came in one at a time.
Okay.
And they were all kind of coming in a little row.
In age order?
I guess.
I come from a big family, and they seem to think age order is big deal,
maybe
but I'm 8th, so maybe they just all want to be older.
I don't remember if it was age order or not, but they came in one at a time, and all of us were crying.
Wow, awesome.
I do remember that. We all had tears in our eyes, and they brought some pictures, and I brought some pictures, and right away we just connected. We just started talking, and they were so good about showing me pictures of what my birth mother looked like. And I was so curious, and to see these pictures. And then we were taking so much time, and we finally decided that maybe we should leave so that Wendy could go home. And we met at Applebee's then and finished out our afternoon. But I always remember coming out of there with my brother, and I always remember him saying, "I have a new best sister."
Oh, awesome.
And it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Because I had an adopted brother, but I never had 5 sisters and a brother.
Yeah.
They're my half siblings, and I never thought I could love them as much as I do, but I do.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's been wonderful. It really has.
Now, you also mentioned the aunts and uncles that you have developed relationships.
That's been wonderful.
Siblings.
Wonderful too. I have an aunt who is 98, and she is so with it, and so I talk to her a lot. I mean, she's been back here different times and been at my house. We've had reunions. Also, an uncle. 2 years ago, they were back for a reunion, and he stayed with me. And so I really got to know him. And they're also good about wanting to tell me what life was, them growing up, so that I could get to know my birth mother. Yeah. So I really feel like I really know her. Yeah. And then I have another Uncle Jim. They all live out in California. So, but I've met them all. And then I had another uncle, and that I had met right at first too, but he has passed. But he called me 2 weeks before he died and just wanted to share. He was sick, and he just said, "I just want to talk to you about your birth mother. Mildred, she was a wonderful sister. I want you to know her. Do you have time to talk?" And I said, "Of course I do." And he told me all about how they were growing up and stories. And 2 weeks later, he passed away.
Wow. And that's so awesome that he was able to share all of that with you before he passed away, and you had an opportunity to see your mom when she was young through their eyes. Yes,
through their eyes. And it was just wonderful. It was just so nice that I could get to know him too, And I've met, everybody's kids, and it's just been, we have sister trips. We go on sister trips. Last summer I had them, all the sisters came except the one, she lives in Aberdeen. She couldn't be there. Come to my daughter's house that lives in Wahoo. She's got a pool, and we had a pool day.
Awesome.
And then a couple of her daughters came, and my daughter was there with the granddaughter. I mean, we've all gotten to know each other. Yeah. It's just been wonderful. I can't say enough about it. It's just been a wonderful experience. And I thank God every day that I have met them, because it's been really good.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, Wendy, how does that make you feel, knowing you were the one that made this connection for her?
It's so rewarding to do this kind of work, and to
I know, it's just been, it's been probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. Yeah. I have to say. Well, and especially at this time of my life. Right. Because your kids, I have kids and I have grandkids, but they're all busy, So I have these new friends and new sisters.
Yeah, new relationships.
And we all have fun together. And I was just with them 2 weeks ago. We went to Aberdeen for a trip. Well, and we spent the whole weekend together, just playing games and laughing and talking. And
and you've got an aunt that's 98, so you got some longevity in your genes.
I know it.
You'll have plenty of time to be with them and visit with them.
And she's so savvy. I just can't even believe it. Yeah. She's so good. She gets on the phone and she'll call, and she's very, very with it, which is very fortunate,
So, Wendy, other stories or other things that you want to share about people that have reunited, or how often is that the case? Do you get calls frequently, and how often do the reuniting families come about?
I would say we we probably get anywhere from 2 to 3 inquiries a week, be it email or phone calls. With how technology has happened and DNA testing and things like that, a lot of people will come and say, okay, I've done a DNA test and I'm stuck. And we have more information. We have more of the record and the dates and the things to kind of help find people.
Yeah.
So
talk a little bit about who can learn more about the relationship and the adoption.
So it would be, the adopted person can.
And does it change if one person, like if the parent passes away or anything like that, the biological parent?
Sure. If the descendants of the birth parents wanted to search for, their sibling who was placed for adoption, that absolutely can happen. Nebraska law allows for that, birth sibling reunions.
Case in point,
Yeah.
Mary, right here.
Yeah. So, they can search. Their grandchildren can search of the birth parent. We get a lot of inquiries from people who were just at St. James Orphanage. Maybe they were just there for a brief time on kind of a short-term basis. So, people call and ask if we have pictures or if we have any kind of information. And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. It just depends on how long they were there and what kind of information was gathered.
Yeah.
So
Catholic Charities offices used to be at the St. James Orphanage, and I had an office there. And so I was the beneficiary of when someone who had been at the orphanage would show up, because I did community relations, they would send them my way. And so I got to tour people around so they could see what it was like then. And I heard many wonderful stories about what it was like back when it was an orphanage, and there were orchards of fruit trees. And one man talked about his role that morning was to make toast. Every morning he had to make toast, and they had a rolling toaster, and he would do all the toast for all the kids in the orphanage. And so many great stories. And I've heard so many wonderful things about the sisters who were there and cared for the children. And I'm sure you've heard those as well.
Yeah, the Sisters of Mercy are the ones who started it in 1873. A gentleman brought his children and said, I can't do this. I can't take care of them. So they brought him in, and that's kind of how it started. And, with the funding they got and the money they raised, and the city saw the need for it. So they just really rallied behind this, the sisters, and made it happen.
Yeah. And so we're in the start of our celebration of our centennial year. 2026 is the actual 100th year of Catholic Charities of Omaha. And so we've started collecting some of these stories and hearing from different people, and have a place on our website where they can share some of that. So it's been such a great pleasure to learn more about you, Mary, and your story and the beautiful connections that you have made in every stage of the adoption, from being adopted to adopting your daughter to now being reunited with your siblings.
Yes, like I said, it's just been a wonderful experience, all of it. I got adopted with a wonderful. I had wonderful parents, and I do know that was the best. My birth mother made the right choice, and just by adopting a child too, that's a wonderful experience. I'm glad I did that. And just getting to know my siblings that I didn't know I had. I had no idea.
Right.
And they had no idea about me.
Oh.
So it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun. We've been on trips together. We've done things together, and I can't say enough about it. Wow. It's wonderful. And I'm very fortunate. I know it doesn't always happen that way, but my story did. And I love telling my story, and thank you for asking me to tell it, because I like to tell it.
Well, you are very welcome, and I will thank Wendy for suggesting you as a guest for the podcast. And so thank you, Wendy, also for sharing all of your information with us and bringing us Mary and sharing her wonderful story.
Yeah, I knew her story would be a good one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you both for being a part of the Inspiring Hope podcast.
Well, thank you.
As we close today's episode, I hope you have a new appreciation for the impact of the adoptions Catholic Charities and the Sisters of Mercy did for over a century. Each life is a precious gift from God. Each adoption story is different, but we know there are similarities. The way the sisters, as well as the staff of Catholic Charities, cared for and nurtured the children and adoptive families through the process is a testament to their belief in the inherent dignity of each individual. So many times when I've done presentations about the work of Catholic Charities, someone will come up to me afterwards and tell me that they were adopted through the Orphanage or Catholic Charities. Adoptions have been weaved throughout thousands of families and have demonstrated the generosity of those willing to open their hearts to care for someone. Catholic Charities was there for those children and families all those years ago, and we are still here, offering the light and love of Jesus Christ with helping hands and hearts. Maybe some of you listening have been adopted or want to learn more about a family member's adoption through Catholic Charities. If you do, reach out to Wendy at 402-829-9255 or check out ccomaha.org and look for post-adoption. There's also a place on the website where you can share your orphanage or adoption story. We love to hear those. This podcast is about hope. Adoption has offered hope to so many children wanting to be part of a family, and so many couples who wanted to have children. God has inspired us to share His love with others and offer them the dignity and hope they deserve as His beloved children. We are all so blessed to be part of God's family. Thank you for joining us today. If this conversation resonated with you, please subscribe, share, and stay connected. If you want to learn more about all the programs of Catholic Charities, visit our website at ccomaha.org. Until next time, keep inspiring hope. God bless.